Energy markets are in a significant transformation in the last years. A good example for this trend is Poland's power market, which focuses more and more on renewable energy generation, such as wind and solar power. Its central location in Europe also puts Poland in the spotlight, and market entry is very attractive for many participants. But how do you proceed in entering a foreign energy market? Which regulatory requirements do you need to adhere? Which licenses and applications are needed? And which is the perfect time to enter a market? If you have these and further questions, today's webinar is perfect for you. My name is Isabel Reinhardt. I am project lead for events and marketing at eWorld, and together we will discover today all steps of a market entry process at the example of Poland. Before diving into the topic, let me give you some more technical information. As usual, you will have access to the presentation afterwards on the event page. At the end of the presentation, we will have some time to discuss and answer your questions. So keep them in mind or already ask them either via the chat or the Q&A tool here in Zoom. With that, I warmly welcome Paul Pontenagel, Managing Director of Time2Market. With his long experience in power trading, he helps trading companies to enter into new markets. Today, he will show us which steps need to be taken and which risks need to be considered in the entry process. So welcome, Paul. Thank you for joining us today. And we are happy to hear your presentation.
Thank you, Isabel. Thank you all for joining the webinar, and thank you, eWorld, of course, for facilitating today. As Isabel shared in the introduction, my name is Paul Pontenagel, Managing Director of Time2Market. We supply market access services to participants in the energy industry, so we allow our clients to outsource the whole market registration and not be bothered about the challenges, the complexities and the hurdles. So we do that for you, and today we're going to share you a bit of our knowledge on how to enter EU power markets efficiently. First, who am I? I started in the industry as a quantitative analyst, focusing on flow-based market coupling, programming, welfare optimization, and quickly went into trading as a short-term power trader, focusing on physical activity on the day-ahead market and explicit capacities with the cross-border markets like Switzerland and also UK. And later turned to senior power trader, also portfolio optimization, long-term capacities, speculation on the curve, but also still active on the physical short-term markets. And now managing director at Time2Market, where we focus on the entry of such markets, not only power, also gas, and not only Europe, but also beyond. Time2Market was founded by Esther, as founder and CEO. And as I just said, the whole idea is external business development department. We can do the market registrations for you, so you can focus on what you do best, which is generally the trading. We offer market guidance. It's not only the entry that we focus on, but we can also help you selecting new markets. We like to grow with our clients and help them ahead in the next steps. And of course, market access and the complexities of market access are a major part of such a guidance. Our clients typically want to know what is a difficult market to enter, what is an easy market, where do the challenges lie, what are the timelines, can we leverage on our existing setup from settlement banks or clearing banks, what about bank guarantees? We have these insights, and that's how we help our clients. And today we will share some information on this, specifically regarding the Polish market. In general, what is market access? When you look at the left, you have the whole list of things that fall under the umbrella of market access. In some countries, you need a wholesale trading license to be active in the market, to be allowed to trade according to the NRA, the National Regulation Authority. In some markets, you need to be set up with an imbalance settlement provider to settle your physical imbalances that you would have towards the TSO. Of course, to be part of the TSO, you need to become a BRP, Balancing Responsibility Party. In some markets, there's a complex setup regarding the nominations, the scheduling to inform the TSO about your positions. What are you having for positions towards the exchange, towards counterparties, and what kind of positions do you want to move abroad via the interconnectors and on the cross-border points. You might need the right clearing setup for your exchange access. You might need your right settlement setup for settlement of imbalances or settlement of your trades of the exchange. And you need your trading platform setup, the typical software. How do we function as Time2Market? How can we add value to your organization in this matter? As you can see on the right, we as Time2Market are basically the man in the middle between you as a market participant and your new market entry. So we can have the whole dialogue, the conversation, the document exchange, the signing towards all these counterparties like the TSOs, clearing banks, regulators, law firms, settlement bodies, you name it. And the value here lies in that we give you your time and your expertise back and your focus, to give you your time and your focus back by leveraging on our own expertise so you can focus on what you do best. How does it typically go when you want to enter a new market? Of course, we provide you with a scope of how a market entry would look like. And the typical procedure, if it would be with us or if you want to do it yourself, which we also, of course, are totally fine with, is the whole market registration, which typically starts with the license. It is important when you look to a new market to always investigate what are your license obligations if you want to be a wholesale power trader or, for the matter, a wholesale gas trader. In some markets, a license is required, in other markets not, and you need to be aware that these are heavy processes where it's a lot about complex documentation, proofs of all kinds of statuses, documents, financials, criminal records, and it's an extensive process. Once the license is in place, you need to become a BRP. In some TSOs, that's a relative straightforward short process, and with other TSOs, it's a very lengthy and complex and challenging process. Whenever you're a BRP, you need to get your positions. You can, of course, have bilateral agreements with other counterparties, EPEX agreement to get your physical positions bilaterally, OTC, over the counter. But what we typically see, especially when focusing on the spot market, is that people want the exchange membership. This can be a Nordpool, an EPA, an EPEX, such markets where you can buy your specific profile in specific volumes. You can participate in the continuous trading to optimize your assets or speculate on market moves on the intraday market, or try to have more of an arbitrage, and of course not risk-free, but speculation on what is the day-ahead market doing, what is the intraday auction doing, or what is intraday continuous doing. Then you would be live on the market. You can start trading, but also keep in mind market continuity. You cannot just start trading and forget about your full setup. There's always obligations, and specifically in licensed markets, it is important to be aware of your obligations towards the NRA. This can be reporting obligations, and this is not the remit reporting on your exchange trades, but it is reporting of your activity towards the NRA in the country. It can also be financial obligations that you need to pay a small fee over the volumes that you have traded. And it's very important when you obtain a license to be aware of your obligations that come with this license. A market entry showcase, the Polish power markets. So we're going to look at market access. What do you need to do specifically towards the Polish power market? As Isabella shared earlier, Poland is a hot market. It's interesting, comes naturally, of course, with a lot of coal and lignite, but we see the developments on more and more renewables. And Poland is a very large country with lots of production, lots of consumption. So it's trading volume-wise not at the level of Germany or France, but of course, looking at the future, there's huge potential there. And we see a lot of market participants who want to be a part of the spot markets in Poland. When we look at the overview, the A to Z procedure for entering a general market, but now specifically Poland. Of course, we start again with the scope. How do you enter Poland? What are the required steps? And the first part is the license. The NRA in Poland is called PERO, and you will need to obtain a wholesale trading license if you want to become a part of any of the NEMOs, the exchanges, to trade physical power in Poland. This is a very lengthy and complex process. PERO is very strict when it comes towards market applicants who want to obtain a license, and they want to know everything about you. What we typically see is that it's a a cat and mouse game, that even if you deliver all the documents in the right way, right document, right information, they will dig to find something that you did not consider, you might have missed, or they want to know more about. They want to have updated documents, and this cat and mouse game can go on and on and on. So in some cases, there are several iterations between sending new batch of documents towards the regulator, and this is a very time-consuming matter. You can get the license in a few months' time, but typically what you will see is that it takes already from around 5 to 8 months to get into the license. But a bit more about the timeline on one of the next slides. If a license for wholesale power trading is obtained, you go towards the part with PSE. PSE is the TSO in Poland, the Polish system operator. And it's very important here to be aware of one part that is very different from other markets. I assume that the audience here, some of them might be familiar with the market entry as a BRP in other European markets, let's say Germany, France, or Holland. And how the Polish market is different is that the BRP agreement is not a bilateral agreement between the market participant and the TSO, but it's a trilateral agreement. This trilateral agreement is not only between the TSO and the market participant, but as a third party, there's a market operator in between. What does this market operator do? It's basically TSO communication. The TSO communication, the nomination and scheduling, is often done by market participants themselves, or they use a service provider or another trading party. But here with PSE, this party needs to be part of the trilateral agreement. So you need to find a party, a market operator that's able to do the scheduling towards PSE. PSE uses a very specific system, which is the wire system. And the wire system is the system where you need to be able to nominate and schedule your positions of what you have as a physical position towards the exchange or the bilateral counterparty, or what you would like to have as a cross-border flow. There's only a limited amount of market service providers who offer these market operators services, and you need to find a party who is willing to onboard you as a client of theirs, so they can sign the part of the agreement with PSE, which is the trilateral agreement. So you will need the signature of the market operator to become a BRP with PSE. This is a quick overview here, and on the next slides we will look into further details. So as I said, I had a bit of things. The PRO, the license, is the Polish Energy Regulatory Office. And as I said already on the timeline expectations, be aware that it's going to be a lengthy procedure, which is going to take many months. And as stated on the bottom line, common challenges and delaying factor is that they ask for updates on the documentation. And again, don't think you will have it in a few months, because they will keep on asking and asking and digging till you deliver exactly that set of information that you that they want to see. Also be aware that a PRO is not the easiest party to communicate with. So communicating in English is going to be very challenging. So we always advise you to have a Polish-speaking person or a local representative in Poland who can help you in the communication towards PRO, because it will make the communication a lot smoother, and it will also fasten your market registration. Then again, the BRP agreement, the timeline can vary a lot, and you also need to be aware that the market registration in Poland with PSE is still done fully in Polish. So all the forms that you need to sign are in Polish, and again, having someone on your team who speaks Polish will definitely help in the case. In our team with Time2Market, we have one expert on the Polish market who speaks Polish and is very familiar with the registration process. And we can tell you that it does make the whole registration process a lot easier when you know what the forms exactly ask. The registration documents in Poland are also still pretty technical. There is a lot of forms, a lot of appendices with very specific codes. And it is important to have a close dialogue with PSE. So getting familiarized with the team of PSE, the onboarding team, is crucial to have good communication, good flow, and that your questions are answered in a fast way. This is also something where we as Time2Market have a bit of an advantage compared to some other market parties. We are nearly on a daily basis in touch with all the TSOs in Europe, and that's establishing a good relation with the TSO, which helps on getting your answers a lot quicker. What we often hear from clients who didn't use our services before is that whenever they were doing the market registrations, there were often a lot of delays, that the TSO or other counterparties would not pick up their requests in a timely manner. So sometimes it could take 2 or 3 weeks before they get a reply. And then the ping pong, the back and forth is going to be very, very slow. And that's how you get very lengthy market registrations, also causing you again to lose validity on some of the earlier documents that have already been signed, apostilled, or notarized. So always establish a good relation with the counterparty to speed up communication. And again, I already talked quite a bit about it in the earlier slide, the overview, but on the nomination and scheduling, please focus on this market operator. It is for you very important to have the dialogue ongoing, ideally already early in the process. What we typically see with parties who are not as experienced with market access is that they follow everything in a linear order. We present everything here in a linear order, but we advise you as well when entering new markets is that you reach out to all the parties involved in the chain from A to Z. Get the relation ongoing, establish a personal connection, and make the counterparties aware of what your intentions are, when you expect to be in that phase of the project, so you can already get all the right documents and all the information to the right counterparties in a timely manner. Because when you start picking things up, when you finalized one of the other earlier parts in the chain, delays will arrive. Available exchanges in Poland. And this is an interesting topic where there's always a lot of questions towards us on how to enter the Polish market in the best way. What you will see right away here at the bottom of the slide is, of course, the different exchanges, the different NEMOs that offer their services on the Polish spot power market: EPEX Spot, Nordpool, and TGE. Knowing that Poland is a more difficult market to enter, we typically see that market participants who are entering the Polish market are already on EPEX Spot or on Nordpool. So you don't need to worry so much about your exchange setup, your API connection, your ETS software, or your ComTrader, since that is typically in place. So the whole challenge of do I need to be a DCP or an NCM with EPEX, these challenges are luckily behind you. In case you're listening today and you don't have that experience yet with an EPEX Spot or Nordpool, how your settlement setup should be with a settlement bank, if you need a clearing bank or a settlement bank for ECC, let us know and we can help you out on these challenges. EPEX Spot and Nordpool are the standard exchanges for Poland. We see the most entries there, but of course we also have TGE, which is the Polish exchange. So the national exchange only offering the national market, while of course, as you know, EPEX and Nordpool are the international markets. What is the difference between these markets? First of all, EPEX and Nordpool, of course, having slight difference in the clearing setup and all the fees, have shared order books. So even if it would be on the day-ahead market or on the intraday market, prices between these two exchanges are coupled. They are shared, so you don't have any price benefit from being on one exchange compared to the other. TGE, however, has 2 auctions in Poland for the physical spot markets. TGE has an early auction at TGE, which is a standalone auction, and it's not coupled with any of the surrounding markets. It is purely standalone to get a physical position in Poland, and it settles at its own price. TGE also offers a later auction, which is then the coupled auction, which is coupled with the other exchanges, has shared order book with the other exchanges, and is part of the Ephemia optimization. So on the second auction of TGE, basically is an identical auction to the 12 o'clock coupled auctions at EPEX and Nordpool. Many trading houses want to be on the arbitrage case. It's never risk-free, but of course try to play an early auction against a late auction. That is strategies that you see, for example, in the UK market, where the NTOEX on Nordpool is played against the EPEX spot auction. You see something similar in Austria, of course. But on Poland, you can try to play this game as well, or play this game. You try to arbitrage, make the market efficient. But it's very important to be aware that entering TGE is another project on itself. I don't mean just a project, but a very complex and lengthy project. The timeline of entering Poland with EPEX or Nordpool can already be pretty extensive, and entering TGE requires a full new clearing setup. EPEX, you need your ECC clearing. Nordpool has its clearing internally, but if you want to enter TGE, you need to join a Polish clearinghouse, and you need a specific license to be a clearing member of that clearing party. And this is again a whole bunch of documents, registrations, forms, translations, and notarizations that needs to be done individually. We as Time2Market, of course, make no statement about the strategic value of being in any of these markets. You guys as market participants know it best how to create value and how to trade these markets. So we cannot say if it's financially worth it or time-wise worth it to join the TGE market. But please be aware that if you want to join the TGE market, you might add another year on your registration because it will be a lengthy, complex and challenging registration process to get you on the TGE market to join that early auction. When we look at the total timeline of a registration in Poland, the license, as indicated here, can naturally take 5 to 8 months. This is not so as due to us having constraints, but this is just our experience with dealing with Pero. Pero takes the time to review all their cases, so they don't just come back after a few weeks that something is missing or is incomplete. They will give you another chance of submitting extra documents, but please always make sure that you fully meet all the required in its precise details when you do that first application, because it's a waste of your time if you submit an application package that's not complete, because we know from experience they are strict. They will check all the details and you need to deliver exactly that information that is asked for. So if you don't have a complete package, please focus on the details and get that package complete. Whenever it's complete, something is missing or it's complete, but they still want to know more information, they will ask a second time for additional information, and that typically takes 4 to 6 weeks before they ask new information. And they will also give you a deadline to deliver these documents, but there they are reasonable. It can be a short timeline, but it is always a timeline that allows you to get the documents that you need. As said earlier, this back and forth with Pero, it can happen a few times. There has been cases where there were even 3 iterations. So be aware that it can take 5 to 8 months before your license is in place. The BRP agreement. Most important focus here is the market operator, because that's that additional dependency that you have that you might not be used to. So whenever you start with the license application, start looking at market operators that can support you and start the dialogue. What I said earlier, the moment you're done with the license and then you start looking for a market operator, you are dragging the process along and you will get extra delays. The presented timeline that you see here is when you're very well prepared. You have communication with a market operator. You have familiarized yourself with the requirements of the TSO and all the forms. And then still it will take 3-4 months. Exchange membership, we have here 2 to 3 months. This is of course assuming that you will use an EPEX or a Nordpool and not the TGE market. Having an extra setup done with these exchanges can take a while. There is difference between the exchanges, but we see lately that it can easily take 1 or 2 months before your setup is in place. So please be aware that whenever you are BRP, you will not go live on the market to trade directly. Easily 1 or 2 months, and it might even take 3 months based on the resources of the exchange to set you up and do the whole integration to a physical delivery between the exchange, the market participant, and the TSO. When you add these numbers up, you will see that a typical market registration in the shorter end, F5 plus 3 plus 2 is already 10 months. When things take a bit longer because there's delays or there's struggles or documents were not in order, you can already talk about 8 plus 4 plus 3 is 15 months. So you see a 10 to 15 month time frame for entering a market like Poland when things are properly planned. We have heard from parties who have tried to do it themselves earlier, where market registration in Poland took over 2 years. And this is purely due to the fact that the preparation is just not solid. When you prepare well, You can do it in 10 to 15 months, but you need to be aware of the requirements and you need to do things in an orderly manner. Plan all the steps, plan the required documents, look at the time validity, and start with the documents that take the longest first. Also, if you plan to use a bank guarantee towards any of the parties, start the dialogue on a bank guarantee as early as possible. Because if you start the conversation on a bank guarantee the moment you want to deliver it to the PSE, but you have not looked at it before, again, you will drag your market registration with a few months because these tasks take time. So that's a very important message here. Plan every single step and know your counterparty and communicate with them. We looked at Poland, PSE, but of course there's many other markets here. So we quickly present the map as well here from all the TSOs in the European power markets. We as Time2Market have familiarized ourselves with the market registration process as I've just presented to you in Poland and basically all the other markets. Be aware that not all markets are as suitable to enter from a speculative point of trading, of course. Some markets don't have the free speculation or the liberty to take day-ahead positions and bring them into intraday. In some markets, you can have an imbalance and you can close your imbalance with a financial settlement. In other markets, it is not allowed to have an imbalance and you are basically playing with fire, and it can be legal results, negative results if you would have an imbalance in some of these markets. Wherever it is where you want to go, you're always welcome to reach out to us because it might be able that we can assist you, of course, in one of the more complex markets. And what we typically see is the more you go towards the south or the southeast, the more challenging it gets on the culture, the language, the requirements and the forms, and also the amount of communication with the NRAs, the licensing bodies, typically increases the more you go into that direction. That was the presentation here. That was roughly half an hour that we have spent so far. So I'm welcome to address any of your questions.
Yes. Thank you very much, Paul, for the overview. So I will take a look to the chat. So we have a first question. Is an agreement with a market operator a requirement in all markets?
No, this is typically not a requirement in all markets. And to repeat the question, is the market operator agreement relevant or needed in all the markets? Typically not. The majority of the markets, for a market party to become a balance responsible party, it is a bilateral agreement. So two parties involved, the market participant and the TSO. Many of the markets still have scheduling requirements. So you do need to prove towards the TSO that you're able to communicate in the right manner with the TSO, and you might need to be able to pass a specific scheduling test, which is a technical test towards the TSO to prove your technical capabilities. However, in most of the markets, this is not a part of the trilateral agreement. It's a side registration, just a test that you need to do after the agreement is in place. But there's many parties who can do these tests. So there's many service providers out there who can support with most of the markets to do these scheduling tests. But the unique part of the Polish market is that the majority of the European service providers who can help with scheduling tests typically do not offer Poland. And that makes Poland a unique case.
Another question is heading towards the market registration process. How complex is it? Can we enter more than one market at once, or is that unrealistic?
It is very much possible to register to several markets in parallel, but it all comes down to the resources that you have internally. We typically say towards our clients that the limit you should focus on a parallel registration is 3 to 5 markets. And here the 3 or 5 depends on the complexity of the market. So we would never suggest that you should do a Poland, a Czech, a Hungary, an Italy, and a Spain at the same time, because it's going to be an absolute nightmare for everyone involved. There's just too many steps, too many counterparties, too many delay factors, risk factors, and complexities. So this is where we really are of value to our clients to make the right suggestions on which markets can or can you not run in parallel. Also be aware that all the documents that need to be requested, often some of these documents can only be requested by the client itself. So there's always some resources required still from the client in obtaining the right documents, VAT confirmations, statements of insolvency, criminal records of the company, criminal records of the signatories, notarizations where the signatory needs to show up in person in front of a notary. And the more markets you run and the more complex they get, the more resources it will cost. So yes, parallel, very much possible, but it really depends which markets.
Thank you for the advice. We have another question from Eike Arndt. Are you also helping entering the ancillary service market?
We basically help where the client needs help. We grow with our clients as well. So if there's specific requests on ancillary services, of course, we are happy to have the dialogue. But naturally, it is not the typical market of interest. So when we look at our client profile, but also to all the leads, all the market parties that we speak with, nearly, I think 95% of the parties are interested in the whole BRP services, so the wholesale trading, day-ahead and intraday market, and a small part of the conversation is more towards ancillary services to offer frequency responses. So yes, we can help. It's not the standard, but we're happy to have a dialogue.
Okay, thank you. Which exchange rates should be used to convert prices from euro to Poland?
Good question. I believe here that the exchange rate, so in case anything is traded in the Polish zlotys, that all the exchanges use a fixed settlement price for the exchange rate conversion on a daily basis. And these exchange rate conversions can always be found on the website of the exchanges. So if there is over time fluctuations in the currency exposure between the euro and the Polish zloty, which is of course happening, then that will be reflected in the settlement prices online.
Thank you. Another participant asked you to explain a bit further about the cross-border access and what it would mean explicit and implicitly.
Yeah, cross-border activity, we didn't really dive into deep, and that is mostly because the Polish market is fully integrated nearly fully integrated in the coupled markets. It's part of the EFIMIA clearing algorithm that optimizes cross-border flow between markets. A very short explanation: implicit coupling is EFIMIA optimized. Explicit coupling is basically not really coupling. It means that the cross-border activity between two countries is determined by capacities, where companies and traders bid for the capacity and they decide to flow and nominate their power manually themselves. The most known explicit borders are Switzerland and the surrounding countries, so Austria, Germany, France, and Italy. And also the UK market is mostly explicit. So you have there Holland, Belgium, and France with the interconnectors towards the UK market. These are also explicit borders. For the Polish market, the Ukrainian border is still explicit, but the other borders are implicit within the market coupling.
Another question is heading a bit into the direction of how many market entry processes you should follow at the same time, because it is asked, do you have your clients get market access on power and gas markets parallelly?
Yes, we do. And there again, it comes down to resources. The majority of our work is focused on the power, but we have also a few clients where we do large gas project entries, basically a full pan-European gas market entry. And please be aware that this takes a lot of resources. So a gas market entry is a lot more complex, requires more knowledge, requires more resources. So It is challenging to do both, but we do support some of our clients with the parallel registration, both power projects and gas projects. And it all comes down to what do you want? What are your resources? And do you have your traders available? Do you have your KYC people or your managers available? Your ops team? It all comes down to what can you do, but we can definitely help in doing an onboarding in parallel on power and gas.
With your experience from the last years in the Polish market, have you noticed more participants entering the Polish market than last year or in the last years?
There I need to add the disclaimer that we as Time2Market are live from 2022. So in that sense, we don't have that long of a track record to look at the larger long-term trends in the Polish market registrations. But over the last, let's say, 2.5 years, we can indeed say that the interest of the Polish market has strongly increased. This is also due to the fact that, of course, we had the energy crisis in 2022 that caused a huge amount of financial success for large trading houses who wanted to expand, use these profits to expand into new markets. That's one of the drivers of the increased interest in Poland, we believe. And secondly, those parties who were not a part of the wave, the crazy market in 2022 where the prices went so high, these parties would like to be part of the new wave. If there's a new energy crisis and the prices again go crazy, they want to be a part of it. And that's a lot of influx into the market that we see now as well. So yes, we do see increased interest, and we believe it's due to these two reasons.
One more question is referring to the cross-border trading. Do we also need an agreement with TSOs in cross-border trading?
It depends. So we need to look here, of course, at the implicit borders and the explicit borders, and if you participate on long-term or short-term auctions. And here I would like to come back as well on one of the earlier slides, which I skipped, but it's our market guidance service. With all the trading experience on board on both power and gas, we have also a team of ex-gas traders who have a lot of in-depth knowledge. We can really help our clients on these kind of questions. And for the setup on cross-border activity, you can either be long-term or short-term. So if we take the example of power, you can participate in monthly auctions or in day-ahead auctions. The day-ahead auctions are only physical, so you will need your physical setup. But you can also participate on the monthly auctions in a physical manner without having a physical TSO setup, but then you need to look into the resale of the capacity onto the day-ahead market. So even though you don't have a physical setup, you can still participate on physical auctions as long as they are long-term auctions, so yearly or monthly. So yes, we also see some of the let's say the hedge funds, the larger institutional players who still participate on physical auctions, even though they don't have a physical setup.
One more question. Is liquidity currently low in the over-the-counter power market in Poland?
This is something where I don't dare to take a statement, to be honest. I have no good view on the liquidity of the OTC markets. It's one part of the industry, so to see, where we don't have as much exposure. So I can only speculate. No.
Okay. No problem. Thank you. And maybe one last question, which summarizes quite well this webinar. What is your general advice for accessing markets as quickly as possible?
Yeah, I definitely have some general advices there. One of them would be to start with always map all the involved counterparties. That's step one. And so today we went to the Polish market, and it's just very important, whatever market is it, map it all out. Map the NRA, the licensing body, and check if you need a license. Map the TSO and look how the TSO onboarding looks like. What are the forms? What are the requirements? Reach out to all these just to continue with the list, the TSO, map the TSO, map the exchange, and also look at the scheduling requirements. Ask for the timeline with the other parties involved. So when you are in touch with an NRA, the TSO, the exchange, the scheduling provider, ask for the timeline. What is it in their experience that it takes? What are the requirements that you need to fulfill to pass that part of your registration? Ask us for all these details, get that relation established, and also figure out the scheduling details and find a service provider that can support you in case you don't want to do it yourself. Also, of course, if you want a fast market entry, you can just call us.
Thank you. I think that's the perfect conclusion for today. So thank you very much, Paul, for joining us, for giving us insights into the market entry process. And thank you also to our audience. If you would like to have a closer look on Paul's presentation, we will upload it as usual on the event page. And you can look in further details, or as mentioned, you can contact Paul. You see his contact information here on the slides. I think that's
Isabel, there I would like to add as well that the audience today is welcome to scan the QR code on the top right, where they can either subscribe themselves to our newsletter to get updates from the market or interesting articles that we post on our website regarding market access and market entry. And at the same time, people can also book via this link a meeting with us at eWorld. So you can just scan the code here from your phone and book a meeting with us if you would like to have a catch-up face-to-face whenever we are all together in Essen.
Yeah, great. That's perfect. One last advice, we have still one webinar to go before eWorld. It will be this week on Thursday. It is a panel on the decarbonization of industry through hydrogen. So maybe it's interesting for you, and I would be very glad to see you again. And as you know, in 21 days, eWorld is already approaching and starting, and I would be happy to see you again. So I wish you a very good afternoon and say goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.